Hey guys, welcome to Dylan's Soul Hobbies. Now, I know I'm late with this review, but look, the past week I have been very busy with something really cool that I will unveil later on the channel. But as for today, we have to talk about Star Wars Rebels Season 4, Episode 1. Oh God, this is a Mandalorian episode, guys, and ever since the Mandalorian taste was really introduced in the last season, I have been dying to know more. I've been dying to see more of this story, and that is what they are giving us in this episode. So, in this episode, okay, here's the thing. This is part 1 I watched. I have not seen part 2 yet. This is a review for both part 1 and part 2. I'm going to slap on the end part. I'm going to slap on the part 2 review as soon as I'm done with part 1. So, right now, I'm just talking about part 1 of the episode. I'm going to go watch part 2 and come back and review it with you guys, okay? So, the first episode, part 1, The Mandalorian part 1. Oh my god, this was such a good beginning episode, in my opinion. I really liked this episode. The jokes aren't that bad, but, you know, it's a little kid show, so I understand. I'm pretty sure if I was 10 again, which this show makes me feel like I'm 10, pretty sure if I was 10, I wouldn't mind the humor, but sometimes it just seems a little kiddie to me. Like, the whole joke about Chopper telling Ezra about learning on the fly because he's going to be flying a jetpack. It just felt shoe-in to me right there. And you guys know that little astromech is one of my least favorite characters on the show. I honestly don't like Chopper at all. I don't. But, ignoring Chopper, let's move on with the actual episode, because this episode laid out things so perfectly for a beginning episode. So, what happened is, okay, so apparently Sabine's dad is locked up in a tower and they're going to go save him. It leads into a really awesome battle with a couple little humorous jokes there about Ezra not being able to fly a jetpack. Okay, like I said, I understand it. The humor is there. It's a little kiddish for me, and I really just didn't like it, but it didn't make me hate the episode. It made me kind of step out of the show, though, a little bit, and I didn't like that part, you know? Like, you know when you're really into something, but something catches you off guard and just makes you step out? You know, like, it becomes to the point where you don't feel like you're part of the show anymore. That sort of annoys me. It took me out of the Star Wars feel, definitely, with the humor. But ignoring that, it leads into an incredible battle where they actually do take the tower. Sabine gets shot in this, and she almost gets captured. Luckily though, some help shows up pretty much out of nowhere, and they win the day. They go to get her dad. Her dad's not there, and then I can't remember her name. It's something Baton. She is actually Satine's sister. If you remember Star Wars: The Clone Wars, there was a lady named Satine who was the Mandalor of Mandalore. And by the way, that this will make more sense. Let's just call her Obi-Wan's girlfriend, right? Oh my god, that I love the line that Anakin says to Obi-Wan, saying, "I'll go get him, you go save your girlfriend," and Obi-Wan's like, "Right, oh, no, Anakin, she's not my," oh, whatever. I just love that line, but anyway, ignoring that, I'm sorry, let's get into this episode. So, she shows up, and she tells Sabine that her mother told her to tell her that her father was actually being transported by Saxon and the crew. Saxon's little stormtrooper Mandalorian stormtrooper gang. That's why I call it Stormtrooper Mandalorian gang. Saxon's. I'm sorry, guys. I just love this so much that Mandalorians are now stormtroopers, flying stormtroopers. It's just, I thought it was so creative when I first saw it, and I just love seeing it back. But anyway, moving on. So after that, Sabine tries to hand her the Darksaber, honoring her and what she's done for the resistance of Mandalore and everything, and giving her the lightsaber, the Darksaber actually. By giving her the Darksaber is pretty much giving her rule over Mandalore, becoming the Mandalorian, and knowing what that means, Botan says no. Botan refuses, saying that she is not the leader that Sabine thinks she is. So she refuses the Darksaber, which, is completely understandable knowing her history. You really have to be a Star Wars The Clone Wars fan to really know what happened there. And I'm telling you guys, if you have not seen that arc, the Mandalorian arc of Star Wars The Clone Wars, you need to go watch it for this to really make sense and have such an incredible impact on you like it does with me. I absolutely loved this. But anyways, it pretty much leads into another awesome battle with the Mandalorian stormtroopers flying around. Flying Mandalorian stormtroopers. I just love saying that for some reason. It leads to another awesome battle where they actually save Sabine's dad from the Mandalorian stormtroopers. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that in this review. I just love saying that for some reason. It rolls right off the tongue. It makes me happy to say that. It makes me sound like a total Star Wars geek, and that what makes me really happy about this episode. Oh, I also forgot to mention that they have already played the love card between Hera Syndulla, and of course Kanan. Kanan was talking to Hera in this episode, and he's like, really? Really? You're going to go on another mission? What about us? I just absolutely loved it. It is right there. I cannot wait to see more of that in this season. Because it's the last season, they are really going to hammer it home, I believe, that those two are in fact a couple, whether or not they admit it or not, they really do like each other. They might as well be dating. They might as well be married, actually, considering that the Ghost Crew really feels like a family. It's just perfect. I really do enjoy seeing the Ghost Crew back. But anyway, they save Sabine's dad, and what's interesting is Sabine's dad is not a fighter. He's a painter. He fights with his art. And there's this one really cool scene where he actually compliments Sabine on her art improving, which I think is really interesting. And what it was even more interesting is, you see, it would seem like she got her artistic side from her dad, and then her more warrior side from her mom. But it turns out that apparently Sabine's mother is actually very artistic in her own right. She knows a lot of creative ways to get rid of her enemy, which I don't know why. I can see a perfect love story right there. I almost want a book, a novel, or something of those two for some reason. I can see the love connection there. That there's two artists, they fall in love, and they pop out Sabine. That's about the end of it, but I can really see how a love story would grow between these two artists. It just seemed very interesting to me. But unfortunately, this is not time to reminisce about the past. Because as soon as they save their dad, something happens which is absolutely terrifying. Something comes right at Sabine's mother and the rest of the Mandalorians, the good Mandalorians, you know, Sabine's team, and zaps them completely away, leaving nothing but their helmets. Now, what I really like about this is the way they set this up. We do not see in this episode the device that did that. We just see what it causes. And my god, it just leaves like a chill down your spine. Even for an adult. You know, this is a very kiddie show. This is supposed to be a childish show. But it has a very, very dark tone to it, adult tone to it, and war is really all about massive loss as well as massive destruction, and that's exactly what we get into this episode. This definitely feels like Star Wars, especially at the end when this happens. I get like a Rogue One feel when this happens. So, Sabine hears something over the communicator. Something blasts her family away. She recognizes the sound of it. They go running off into the distance to only find black smoke and Mandalorian armor, where her mother once stood. And then we get the news. Her father says that this was done by a weapon created by my daughter. Who's his daughter? Sabine. That's right, Sabine said in the last couple of seasons that she used to create massive, destructive weapons for the Empire. And now they are using one, they just used one to destroy her mom. Which, incidentally, means it is her fault. It is technically her fault that her mother is dead now. And that is a terrible burden. That's what she feels, seeing her mom dead like that. I absolutely just love the heartbreak and the feeling on her face and everything. It's such a sad story. I just absolutely loved it, and it's just setting up Sabine so well to become the next Mandalor. I truly think that she is going to survive Season 4 and become the next Mandalor. That's what I think. Nonetheless, I really, really did like this episode, guys. The humor takes me out a little bit, but it's definitely a fantastic starting point for the season, in my opinion, and definitely led chills of horror down my spine, which is what I wanted from a Star Wars. A Star Wars. Wars. Remember that. Star Wars story. It's definitely what I wanted, and I absolutely loved it. Now I'm going to go watch episode 2, which is part 2 of this two-part finale, and I'll be right here in a second. Bye, guys. Okay, back to the Heroes of Mandalore part 2. Okay, wow, this was so good. I had to watch it twice before I watched this video because it went by so fast and I missed so much the first time I watched it. I had to watch it again before I did this video. Wow, there was a lot, and I mean a lot, to talk about. First off, I have to get this out of the way. The animation and the art in this episode, oh my god, there's this one shot, and it's like the most amazing shot in the episode that I've ever seen in Star Wars Rebels. There's a shot where she is actually, she picks up a piece, Sabine picks up a piece of Mandalorian armor, and it just shatters into, oh wow, it just shatters into dust. Wow. That was, wow. And the look on her face, it was just fantastic animation, fantastic art. And you can really, really feel something when you see that scene and know just what happened. Now, thankfully, 2 seconds later, we find out that her mother and her brother survived, but everybody else in Clan Wren pretty much got blown to bits. Well, not even bits, they got incinerated. Wow. That shot alone deserves like a nomination for a reward or something, just because of that shot alone was just fantastic. Oh wow, that was crazy. Nonetheless, moving on, soon enough, it becomes a fight to kill Sabien Wren, because as soon as they get back to headquarters, Bo-Katan whips out a blade and actually punches her right against the back of the wall, and tells her that she's a traitor and all that, and she just has absolute hatred for her. It's a cowardly weapon and all that. And Sabine tells her that when she was at the stormtrooper training center, when she used to be a stormtrooper, okay guys, when she was stormtrooper training, she made the weapon, but when she found out what it was going to do, what it does, is there has to be something in the Mandalorian armor, I think, that does it, but something about the Mandalorian armor, there's some sort of element in it that this weapon, it points to that element and destroys, incinerates you from the inside out. So your suit literally becomes your enemy's greatest weapon. A suit that was created to protect is now the thing that is going to kill you. And that is heavy stuff, especially for Mandalorians, where the suit is pretty much everything for the Mandalorians. And they even say it in this episode that Sabine Wren's suit, while she may have tweaked it a little bit to fit her, is like 500 years old. It has just history, and Mandalorian blood runs not only through her veins, but through that Mandalorian suit that she wears. She can't just pick a different material to make her suit out of. It's part of who they are. So the fact that the thing that makes them who they are can destroy them now is really, really heavy on them. And eventually when they get back to headquarters, everybody points their gun at her, and she steps up to the plate. She says, "I know what I did. I know that this weapon is terrible. I tore down this weapon and destroyed the blueprints, but they must have recreated it because obviously it's here. And now they have a chance. Either kill her and be killed themselves by the Empire, or help her destroy this terrible weapon." And they choose to help destroy this terrible weapon. So they come up with an idea. 2 teams. One team is going to go after the blueprints. That will be, of course, the Jedi and the droid. And the other team has to go up against the core of this weapon. And that's exactly what they do. Also, there's this one amazing part of the episode that I want to talk about. There's this amazing battle that takes place. It's just like for 3 minutes at the most. But what happens is they're on the ship. The ship is losing power. They don't have weapons. So Bo-Katan and Ezra jump out of the ship with their jetpacks and actually blow up a couple of TIE fighters in the atmosphere. I absolutely love that shot where they're destroying those TIE fighters. Absolutely, very impressive, very amazing. I'm telling you guys, the art, the animation, the storytelling is at its peak in this episode, and it was just mind-blowingly impressive to me what they were able to do in such a short amount of time. But moving on, eventually there's this shot with Thrawn, and Thrawn's talking to the Saxton leader about the weapon, and tells him he needs Sabine Wren. Because Sabine Wren created the weapon, she would know how to make the weapon more powerful. So, they need to capture Sabine Wren, and the whole thing was actually a trap for Sabine Wren. Sabine and Bo-Katan get into the base, and they go upstairs to find the core of the weapon, and then Saxton walks in, hits a button, and BAM! The weapon works on Sabine and Bo-Katan. It really, really stings. Eventually Saxton talks to Sabine, convinces her to upgrade the weapon to make it more powerful. She does that, but she tampers with it at the same time. What happens is she actually there has to be something in the armor, and it must be programmed for different materials, because now the weapon doesn't only work on Mandalorian armor. Now when he turns it on, it works on Stormtrooper armor instead. And because he's wearing Stormtrooper armor, all these Stormtroopers are almost incinerated. They're in much pain. They're not incinerated, they're almost incinerated. Sabine Wren is just very, very mad at this point. And you can see, I hate to put this out there, but let's just go with it for a second. She is so mad that if she was a Force user, she would be using the dark side of the Force right now, if she was a Force user. I swear, I've never seen her that mad. She has, like, dark anger and aggression build up in her, and it makes perfect sense, but, like, I just love Sabine Wren in this episode. The emotions that they have her showing is, like, amazing. Like, in the other seasons, the emotion that she has showing in season 1 and 2 is just like a teenager, okay? Okay, she's a teenager, that's about it. In season 3, they step it up just a notch with her family. In season 4, they're going all out to make you like Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren became my favorite character in just the last 2 episodes because of the emotion that they were able to get through. Not only the actor, the voice actor behind it, but the face, the facial expressions is just so amazing in this season with Sabine Wren. I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, eventually, Bo-Katan talks her into destroying the device. Oh, by the way, they call the device the Duchess. Oh, wow. When I heard that, I was amazed by that. They called the weapon the Duchess. Wow. Sabine Wren called the weapon the Duchess. Well, they destroy the Duchess's core, and then they go home, and they're talking about who could be the next Mandalorian. And what Sabine Wren suggests is that Bo-Katan should become the next Mandalorian. Bo-Katan's like, you know what, you were able to make a really strong decision, why don't you become the Mandalorian? And and Wren says like an absolutely amazing line, saying that she was only able to make that decision because of Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan has the ability just like a true leader should, or something like that. That isn't word for word or anything like that, but I absolutely just love that line. I love that scene. And then they open the door, and and like all the rest of the clan's leaders are there, and they all bow to Bo-Katan, including the Wren clan. And she hands her the lightsaber. She takes it, she turns it on, and she says, "For her sister, and for all of Mandalore, she is now the new Mandalorian." I still believe in my heart that by the end of the series, or, the series will end and Sabien Wren will still be alive, I do believe that Sabien Wren will eventually become the next Mandalorian. I really, truly do believe that. Maybe the show will end, but they'll have like a side story, like a little novel of her becoming Mandalorian. That's what I would like at the end of this. I want to see her become Mandalorian, whether it's on the show or in a book or something. I want to see her become the Mandalorian one day, but it makes perfect sense that she doesn't become the Mandalorian right now. She's young. She's a teenager. She doesn't have full control of her emotions yet. It just makes perfect sense that she doesn't become the Mandalorian right now, but still, they're setting it up for her to become the Mandalorian, and I just want to see that eventually come to fruition. I definitely think that it's going to come to fruition, that she's going to become the next Mandalorian. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. That's the end of the Heroes of Mandalore, Part 1 and Part 2. I really, really did like these episodes, guys. I hope you guys did too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm out. Bye.